everyone, this is Callimara here, and no, it's not calamari. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new to the pond, go ahead and take a dive. You might like it here. We are once again going to be talking about Helluva Boss, an indie adult animated series about demon mercenaries in hell by Vivzie Medrano, aka Vivziepop. If you've never heard of this show, it is available to watch on her channel for free, and I highly recommend you go and check it out. But just keep in mind, it is not for kids. And because her fan base can be pretty intense, before I say anything else, I want to clarify that I am a fan of Vivzie. I don't hate her, nor do I want to hate on her. I genuinely think she's a fantastic artist with an incredibly unique and lively art style, and she is dishing out animation quality that rivals professional studios. This video is not a hate video. Vivzie stans, I'm one of you, okay? Alright, great. So today I'm drawing myself as a character in Helluva Boss / Has-Been Hotel because after the introduction of glitz and glam and this random background character, I was contractually obligated to draw my persona as an aquatic demon. These three appeared and I knew it was time to insert myself into yet another show universe. So, aside from writing and designing my own demon sona, I will also be giving tips on how you can design your own OCs and draw in Viv's art style, if you so wish. Because I personally believe the key to developing your own art style is by studying other people's styles and learning how they do things as a reference for how you can improve your own art. To get things out of the way, if you're curious about my history as a Vivzie stan, go ahead and watch my Beelzebub video. I've been following her for a long time, and she was arguably one of my main art inspirations. For the eyes, I was very inspired by glam and this background character's eyelashes. The circular tips remind me of the bulb of anglerfish, so that was definitely the look I wanted to go with. To follow Vivzie's style, I drew my sona's eyes much sharper than usual. Viv likes to draw her characters with very exaggerated eyelashes, and that kinda reminds me of female Sonic characters. And no, that's not shade, because I love super exaggerated eyelashes. I think more characters should have super exaggerated eyelashes, and you know what? Starting from now, I will be drawing more exaggerated eyelashes. But anyway, for my demon sona, obviously she needed to be sea creature inspired. So while glitz and glam were based on lionfish, as I've mentioned in my New Year's resolutions video, I was very inspired by Dumbo octopuses while redesigning my sona to be more whimsical. I purposely styled the hair to look like tentacles and incorporated their cute little ears as well. We're aware that shark demons were a thing since X's and O's, where we saw them in the Greed Ring working for Crimson, but I wasn't really sure what variety of sea creatures existed in the world. I thought it would be exclusively sharks, as a pun towards loan sharks, and business terms always relating to sharks in some way. So once Glitz and Glam showed up looking more reminiscent of fish, and then this octopus girl circulated on Twitter, I knew that I'd found the perfect species for my sona. For her outfit, I thought about doing a pop star inspired costume at first because initially my idea was to make her some sort of performer, not necessarily a clown trying to audition for Mammon like Glitz and Glam, but more like Veronica Mayday. I knew I wanted to make the hem of the dress reminiscent of Dumbo octopus tentacles. It didn't really feel like my sona in the end though, so I tried to stick closer to her original design of a dress shirt, and because it's hell and everyone is super risque, I decided to have it unbuttoned pretty low, and I ended up liking that much better. I gave her flowy sleeves and paired it with a corset, and it was really giving pirate, which I loved. As a design tip, to create a more balanced look in character outfits, if you were to go for long sleeves, drawing short bottoms helps to redistribute the design weight. Same for short sleeves or tank tops with full-length bottoms. So with this philosophy in mind, I initially did some bikini bottoms to show off more leg because the top is quite covered. To add some more flowy elements, I also added a silky train at the back to make the design look more elegant and to match her sleeves. I was quite fond of the circular suctions that will go on the tentacle hairs, so I decided to carry that theme throughout the entire design, replacing the straps with pearl buttons and adding pearls to the shoes and garter as well. I think it really tied the design together and fits the theme perfectly. Later on, I ended up re-adding the pleated skirt from my original design because I think it looks more balanced that way. I just decided to lower the opacity on them when I color it later on to make it look like it's made of gossamer and make it look high fashion. Let's talk about Vivzie's art style and what I think are the most distinct and integral components of it. Because this is an important thing to understand if you want to make characters that are true to her style. I think the first word that comes to mind is sharp and pointy. Recently, I drew in Adventure Time's art style, and drawing in Vivzie's art style felt very reminiscent of that. The body proportions are very loose, prioritizing style and silhouette over anatomical accuracy, which works just fine considering Viv often draws exclusively fantastical non-human characters, which gives you a lot of leeway. However, the main difference is that where Adventure Time's character designs are very round and soft, particularly when it comes to the main characters, reserving sharper, more hostile designs for enemies, Vivzie's designs often incorporate a lot of sharp points, from the eyes to the fingers, the hair, down to the teeth and eyelashes. Her designs give off a very sleek and nostalgic appearance that makes me think of early 2010s Tumblr art. And yes, I am referring specifically to the Tumblr sexy men of old. They all have that particular look of long legs, skinny, and slightly menacing, but only enough to give them that bad boy appeal. But in my personal opinion, it's actually a misconception that Viv only draws thin, skinny characters that all look the same, because she doesn't. If there's one thing you can't criticize about Viv, it's her characters looking the same, because they really don't. You can easily tell her characters apart, and if you've been following her before Has-Been Hotel and Helluva Boss, you'd know that Viv's cast of characters do actually have good body diversity. It's just that the characters that happen to blow up and become most well-known are the thin, skinny ones, and that's not necessarily her fault. I don't really follow a lot of the drama around vivziepop though, so if I'm missing something and you've been following the drama, let me know in the comments below. I posted the final results on my social media and community tab, so if you don't follow me, go ahead and follow me. And a lot of people commented that if my Sona were a hellborn, meaning she was born and raised in hell and not a human sinner that was cast into hell, she would be from the Envy Ring, because apparently that's where most of the sea demons come from. I actually thought that because most of the sea-themed demons were introduced in Greed, like the shark demons and Glitz and Glam, that they would be native to Greed. I haven't really seen or heard much of Envy, but when I looked it up, yep, definitely Envy, 100%. It is literally perfect, and I couldn't be more pleased with the match. Although I will say that I got this information off the Has-Been Hotel Journey to the Light wiki, which is a completely separate wiki from the official Has-Been Hotel wiki, because it's a fan fiction that someone made for Has-Been Hotel and is therefore not canon. This actually threw me for a loop at first, because I thought that Journey to the Light was the official working title for Has-Been Hotel, so I was really confused why there were already 5 seasons of it, but it turns out it was just a fan fiction, so be careful not to get those two mixed up. I honestly had a lot of fun drawing in this art style as well. I think I naturally lean more towards a stylized, cartoony look over realism, but I've been pushing myself more towards realism because it's still very important to get a good grasp on anatomy and proportions as an artist, because obviously you first need to learn the rules before you can break it. However, I think over time I found myself kind of purposefully avoiding stylized and cartoony drawings because, I don't know, I'm trying to be taken more seriously as an artist. Which is silly because you don't need to draw realism to be a serious artist. I think I've just gotten so concerned with rules and technicalities that I've kind of forgotten to have fun with my drawings, and that kind of affects my motivation to draw quite significantly. That's why I love drawing in styles like Vivzie's or Adventure Times, because it just reminds me of how fun it is to draw. And often I find that the more leeway I give myself to just draw and create shapes, the better my drawings tend to look. But that's what I personally think. If you've ever felt this way, or if you have any thoughts about my art, let me know in the comments below. Now that we have the design done, let's talk about the backstory, with context in regards to Vivzie's version of hell in her series. Unfortunately, we don't currently know a lot about the Envy Ring because it's currently the only ring of hell left that we've yet to see featured in Helluva Boss. So, for this segment, I will be going off of the headcanons from the Journey to the Light wiki, because I think they came up with some really good lore, and when we do finally get the official reveal of Envy, I can just go back and change it. So, according to the wiki, the Ring of Envy is an oceanic expanse interspersed with numerous tropical islands and vibrant beachfront gathering spots under an ethereal lavender sky. Beneath its oceanic depths, Envy conceals thriving underwater societies and cities inhabited by aquatic and deep-sea creatures, including the prosperous realm of Hellantis, which serves as the capital of Envy. Envy's cities, towns, and civilizations are bathed in the soft, enchanting glow of bioluminescent surfaces, decorations, and algae, eschewing the use of traditional lights or electricity. This captivating illumination creates a surreal and otherworldly ambiance throughout Envy's urban landscapes. Moreover, Envy exudes an unparalleled vanity, segregating the more grotesque sea demons to the deepest recesses of its oceanic depths, while allowing the attractive and opulent demons unrestricted access to any part of the ring they desire, a stark divide that displays the ring's obsession with appearances and social hierarchies. Envy also has its own class system, with imp hybrids and the more grotesque sea demons being subservient or slaves to the more appealing denizens. That being said, my character is definitely a Hellborn native to the Envy Ring. I think her name would be Calamari, which sounds like calamari because she is closer to being calamari in this iteration, but she's still not, because she's an octopus. And because the Envy Ring clearly has a rampant lookism problem, if you don't know what lookism is, it's basically discrimination based on someone's attractiveness or how well they meet the beauty standard. How you look is something very important to the denizens of Envy. The better you look, the more privileges and freedom you're given. So keeping that in mind, I think my character would probably be a highly coveted stylist in Envy who owns an exclusive boutique and salon in the capital that has curated the appearance of the Envy elite and famous celebrities such as Ssocial Mayday and Fitzaroli. From a young child, she has always been interested in fashion and beauty. Due to her own attractiveness and fashion sense, people aspired to look as good as she does, so she decided to capitalize on that. She initially started doing small jobs like shopping for clothes and makeup for her friends and styling them for parties. And given the importance of looking good to improve one's social and financial standing in Envy, she started gaining more renown and public interest for her services. Thus, with her accumulated fortune, she was able to open an exclusive boutique and salon where she now designs her own clothing line and personalized looks that are made exclusively for her clients for an exorbitant amount of money. Everybody who's anybody would kill, literally, for a consultation with Callimara. Perhaps she's even a personal stylist for some of the 7 deadly sins, including the Von Eldritch royal family. I think this is a nice homage to the makeovers I usually do on my channel and overall ties the story together nicely. Selecting the colors was a lot easier than I thought it would be since I just used my original color palette for my persona, though I was a bit worried that this would be another Spider-Sona suit color crisis, but luckily I managed to settle on the color scheme pretty quick. My tip for selecting color palettes for your Helluva Boss OC is to try and choose no more than 5 colors. The way Viv creates distinct and cohesive character designs is by using a limited palette and reusing colors in different aspects of the character. Even for characters as colorful as Beelzebub and Asmodeus, both use no more than 5 colors. The key is to find a balance between complementary colors and saturated, contrasting colors that really help the character pop. And because I also often get asked about my thoughts on Helluva Boss's story, I initially thought about evaluating the writing of Helluva Boss and giving writing tips, but I've fallen very behind on the story, and I'm only really tuning in when Verosika or other new hot female characters show up. All I will say is that I think the story really lacks a clear direction at the moment, and since shifting from a more episodic slapstick dark comedy to a character-driven drama series, it hasn't really been able to establish a clear through line. There is continuation and development from one episode to the next, but you're not really sure what the goal is, and there's no real urgency that isn't immediately solved in the same episode, making the stories feel self-contained and isolated from each other. I also feel like Vivzie isn't necessarily the best writer. Some of the dialogue often comes across as pretty forced or inorganic to just try and get a specific goal across, and you can really tell that she's trying to get that specific goal across. It all just feels a bit ham-fisted to me, but I don't know. Maybe people will disagree with that. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess. It worked when it was just a slapstick comedy, but moving to a more serious tone, it doesn't necessarily translate the best. And in execution, it definitely could have been done better. Typically, in character-driven stories, each character will have a personal goal that they're trying to accomplish that spans throughout multiple episodes or seasons. But the main cast of Helluva Boss don't really seem to have that. The whole show just feels like a glorified OC showcase and intro, the type of rundown you'd write before throwing them into the story. Let's take Blitz, for example. The show is called Helluva Boss, and Blitz's relationships with the other characters have arguably been the main focus of most of the show so far. However, we just see his relationships play out, but there's nothing in particular that Blitz really wants to accomplish. Let's say, for example, and correct me if this moment is already established in Season 2, we learn that what Blitz wants to do is make up for every single bridge he's burned, because he seems to have a very fraught history with a lot of the main characters that are introduced gradually in the show. Maybe he realizes that he's pushing away the people he loves, or heck, we see the gradual deterioration of the main cast because Blitz fails to recognize that he's pushing them away, which can set up his road to redemption. I think that would help create relevance for every other character that gets introduced and why they are in the story, while having a conflict that spans across several episodes in the season that gets you interested in tuning in for more. There had been a really interesting plot point during the Season 1 finale where humans learned the existence of demons, and although everyone in the facility died, they have video evidence of the existence of demons now. I thought it would be that the more jobs that Imp takes up on the surface, the more aware humans will be of the demons, and eventually they'll discover hell, and I don't know, Blitz and his company get in a lot of trouble with the rulers of hell or something, or like they get invaded by humans and evangelical Christians. At the moment, every episode seems to start completely disjointed from the last and simply covers whatever Viv felt like covering next, without any real foreshadowing or hints otherwise. You can't really predict what the plot's end goal is or where the story is going, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because then some audience members, like myself, don't really have a reason to anticipate the next episode because there's no real urgency in the story. Unless, of course, you're just curious to see what the other rings of hell and deadly sins look like. Though to be fair, I guess the interpersonal drama is a good enough draw in itself for some people, regardless of aim or stated goals. But I personally don't enjoy romance/drama shows anyway, so it kind of lost me after the shift. And I think that's all I really have to say about it. So yeah, let me know what you think of my design and character story in the comments below. Also, if you make your own OC with my tips, please make sure to tag me on any of my social media. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the pond for a while. I hope your skin didn't get too pruny. Big shout out to my lovely pond dwellers on Patreon, and welcome to all the new patrons that just took a dive. If you want to become a pond dweller and get early access to my content, join my Patreon. If you want to see more from me, then please follow me on all my social media. If you want to submit fan art or chat with me, join my Discord server. And if you want more of my stories, check out my Wild Word series here on YouTube because that will make me really happy. All the links are in my description, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!